Good evening, my friends. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Dr. Vijay from say Arts and Science College has asked me to give this small note on a broader title: Innovation, Incubation, Invention, and Intellectual Property Rights. For the sake of our discussions today, I just would like to tweak this title a little into Invention, Innovation, Incubation, and Intellectual Property Rights. And this discussion marks the day this World Intellectual Property Day, observed every year on 26th April. So, as you all know, the World Intellectual Property Day was established by the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, in the year 2000 to raise awareness of how patents, copyrights, trademarks, and designs impact on daily life, and to celebrate creativity and the contribution made by the creators and innovators to the development of societies across the globe. And this 26th April was chosen as a date for World Intellectual Property Day because it coincides with the date on which the convention establishing the World Intellectual Property Organization entered into force in 1970. That means almost we across 50 years. And this program is running for more than almost 20 years. Now, this is the 20th year. So we must celebrate this. And coming to our Indian conditions, if you see, we are still in infancy, I would say. And interestingly, this year, the World Intellectual Property Organization has coined the title for this year, Innovate for a Green Future. So here, though we are at India as at infancy, there is a 100% possibility Indians are known for working on green technology. And we have to start working, still thinking on green technologies. And why I'm giving little importance to India is purely because, with all this coronavirus, COVID 19, and all the related developments, the entire world is at crossroads. And India is no different from other countries. And if you see, with the kind of 130 million population, India still has a lot of difficulties to face in the coming days. Added to this, India has to feed more than 30 crore of younger generation joining the population right from 2010 to 2040. That means India has to create around 10 million jobs every year. So if you want to really fill the gap, India has to work a lot on promoting science, technology, entrepreneurship. For us to promote science and technology and entrepreneurship, we have to go backwards to find out what kind of intellectual property we created. And before going to this intellectual property creation, we need to still go back to find out what kind of intellectuals we are creating. That is a more important requirement. And here, if you really think in terms of intellectual property, the human resource development forms backbone for every country. And how do you prepare human resource? Mostly, India has very good number of universities. Still, the number of universities are growing, and we are at the level of promoting as many students with very different, varied degrees also, and that means we are producing good number of students from the universities. But the only question asked by people is, are we creating right resource for the right requirements? This is where the mismatch happens. So in this mismatch, we need to really go back and find out, are we creating individuals with creativity? This is the most important question one has to answer. Why I'm telling this bringing this creativity here is purely because creativity has a more relationship with innovation. When you talk about invention, innovation, and intellectual property rights with incubation, there is these are the creativity is the one we need to really give more importance. And what is creativity? Creativity is nothing but any act, idea, or product that changes an existing domain or that transformed an existing domain into new one. And to put it in a very crude form, can be described as the discovery of something that is novel but also useful or relevant or economical or valuable. So that means, and innovation. When if you talk about creativity, the act of new concept. not know which is coming first, which is coming. You are turning the idea into usable activity. People have to have some kind of bent on science, and the scientific temper. A lot of examples for invention also, right from product designs to many things are there. Upon the examples, we will move on to the next. The element of exploitation comes here. How you can put the ideas into successfully people moving from ordinary telephone to the walls. I want to change the house. I want to change the room. I You see, creativity, we would be forever repeating the same patterns. So without creativity, played a major role in people coming and so forth. So most of these things, the creative thinking areas will take you forward to next level of thinking and how it works. And so all these things, these are all kind of simple questions that will help you to come up with the creative knowledge and move to next level. The creativity we can see many types. I don't want to touch upon all this area, but I'll give you a list of creativity. The creativity can be classified into primary creativity, secondary creativity, technical creativity, inventive creativity, innovative creativity, and imaginative. And these are all types. But when you see there are a lot more opportunities for one to come up with creative ideas, there are a lot of barriers also there stopping the creativity. The first one is complacency. That means the resistance to change students, not to change the monotony, one thing. And second, even the students come with the kind of initiative ideas, new ideas, the teachers at times, everybody. There are people who always say, why do you worry about that? Do your education now and go to next level. Lack of recognition by the peers or the teachers or the leaders. That's another problem. So we could able to break all these things. There will be a lot of new ideas coming from the schools and the colleges or all education institutions for that matter. And finally, we can also relate the lack of resources as one of the constraints. But lack of resources will come only when we start rehearsing the creative ideas. Again, coming back to innovation, you can see many examples that happened in the invention of telescopes to steam engines to printing press to why I'm bringing this element of entrepreneurship purely because entire scenario of working also will change. That means the education institutions are expected to create knowledge individuals than just producing cattle class individuals aimed towards some kind of jobs. That means every student coming out of the education institution should a good amount of knowledge and they should be strong in the basics. India was revered in 1970s and 80s purely because of this basic knowledge. Over a period when we moved, jumped just like that into job-oriented kind of uh, or focused education system. So that means the freewheeling is gone out of the education streams. Even the students coming up with new ideas, doing rehearsing something in the laboratories, and coming up with new thought processes also have been snubbed. Now it is time for us to go back at education institutions and educate the students and also empower the students and come up with new ideas. In entrepreneurship, normally we used to say, especially in entrepreneurship or ideation, I would say. In ideation, people used to say it's something like empathize, ideate, right? They come up with wonderful individuals coming with a lot of knowledge and bringing ideas. Now I want to touch this element of intellectual property rights. So only if you develop knowledge individuals in the classrooms, there is 100% possibility we can get a lot of intellectual property right coming out of our laboratories. If you see the intellectual property right scenario, US is always standing tall with many number of patents all over the world, all our countries all over the world. If you see in 2017, out of the 6 lakh applications filed by US and 12 lakh, around 12 lakh were submitted by China, India was only at around 46,600 numbers. And out of this, India got only 12,000 patents granted, and that too with the kind of population of country like 1.37 billion people. If you see the 2019 scenario, as users submitted 1,000, Japan 52,600, Germany 19,000, And interestingly, a small country, Korea, has submitted 19,000 patents. And of course, India is also there in the 15 list of top and invention. Why where we lack is purely because where we lack is the pure area we would say is the background education what the students get. This is more important. And if you see content wise, still India holds good. It's purely thanks to China and Korea, Japan, all these countries, not because of other countries in terms of PCTs. India has to work a lot on creating students with more basic knowledge. This is an important requirement. So without which it is impossible to do that. The Indian government almost in 2015 started the Startup India and Stand Up India program. The Startup India and Stand Up India programs are promoted to help the younger generation to stand on their own legs. And as we know, even if you apply our knowledge and simply think we can easily get the answer. Government cannot provide jobs for all the individuals coming out of the education institutions. The same way, private institutions also are restricted, have their own limitations. With the kind of developments happening in artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and machine learning and data science, there is going to be a day when a lot of people are going to lose their jobs, but we will be seeing different kinds of jobs emerging in the uh, ecosystem. That means the present jobs will go out and new jobs will come up. People working on data science will get a lot of opportunities. People working on artificial intelligence and machines and machine learning will get a lot of opportunities. And even the gaming theory kind of things, even the use of artificial intelligence, finance, all these areas carries a lot of merit. So without educating or empowering the students on these lines, it is impossible for us to say that we are producing knowledge individuals or creating intellectual property for the country. Unless otherwise there is a basic, we can't build on that. So we need to create a strong base for the country means the younger generation to have strong fundamentals, and only those fundamentals will take them or allow them to think through and come up with new ideas. And if you see in the open arena, even we are working with a lot of startups. And since I started Startup India, I'm telling. And Government of India is also promoting a lot of incubation ecosystems. Almost all universities, private institutions, government institutions, and even private entities are also into incubation. Even the Chamber of Commerce and many organizations also involving themselves in promoting startups. Corporates are allowed to even support startups. You might have seen the bigger corporates in India are supporting a lot of corporates. And the best institutions in India like IITs and the leading private universities and government universities also promoting startup ecosystem. But one problem always see people see there is only very few students come up with ideas. Even now we can if you scan, most of the students are after only jobs. And even if you go and ask the students, how many of you would like to stand on your own legs? People don't want to raise their hand saying that I want to stand on their own legs, but I want jobs. And even if you go further and ask about their knowledge in this domain where they are specializing, we find difficulty in analyzing or getting a convincing answer that they have become masters of their subject. This is a mismatch between the expectation and developments in the environment or the industrial ecosystem and the educational streams. So we need to create or we need to produce informed individuals to go to next levels. And if you see in the entrepreneurial ecosystem also, we see more number of students or individuals, aspirants coming with ideas to say, I want to copy this company, I want to copy this idea, I want to do something different. And startups are not meant for just copycat ideas. Startups are for coming up with new knowledge, new ideas based on the existing knowledge. This existing knowledge has to come from involvement of the experienced brains and the younger brains. And these experienced brains should nurture the younger brains to come up with new knowledge. This new knowledge only can go into intellectual properties. So the intellectual property is not just like the only confined to one country or two countries or three countries. I talked about the PCT. The PCT is nothing but for many countries. And what you develop for India at times may not be useful for other countries. And even whatever you develop for South India may not be useful for North India. But ultimately, the um, art lies in coming up with new ideas that can be used for many people in the world. And it should be applicable for many countries also. And if you see agriculture also in one area where there's a lot of requirement and a lot of developments also happening now. So in this area, especially in agriculture area, a lot of things can be done. India is still at infancy, I would say. If you see other countries, they have moved forward. And interestingly, the recent development also you might have seen in this corona, government of India has come up with challenges on developing new products and vaccines for corona. And many laboratories have just jumped into this fray and started working on developing vaccines, testing kits. And interestingly, recent development is seeing nearly 100 companies have started producing sanitizers, which is almost new for the common man. Or otherwise, you can see the sanitizer only in the medical ecosystems. And now it has become a word for the common man, and sanitization has become a common thing. Though the government started this Swachh Bharat almost 7 years back, now only people understood what is called sanitization. So this is an important development. And we talk about visors for use in the medical field, and now we talk about personal protection equipments. And many companies, interestingly, you might have seen our railways and other organizations also jumped into the fray, started producing personal protection equipments. And interestingly, the another development is the production of ventilators. What was sold for huge money, multiple lakhs, now people have come up with innovations, and now they brought down the cost to a few lakhs or less than a lakh. I would say sometimes people are talking about in terms of developments in ventilators. And medical field has lot of potential. And the world is moving towards electric mobility. This electric mobility is another area where the younger generation can play a major role, not only in coming up with ideas and also making money. This is another development. So agriculture, life sciences like medical and other areas. The third one is electronics, mobility, and fourth on industrial automation, and fourth on even financial areas also things are changing. And somebody was talking about the entirely artificial intelligence taking over the due diligence done in the financial field. That means you don't have to worry about papers, because government of India, now India has changed a lot. Almost all your complaints are happening through online, and tomorrow artificial intelligence machines will do all the due diligence of the company's transactions, banking transactions, money transaction from one organization to another organization, and many things will happen only through artificial intelligence. So how this will happen? Only if we start people start involving themselves in this kind of systems and come up with new ideas. That only will help them to develop new ideas or come up with new ideas. Unless otherwise we develop this kind of attitude or the scientific temper or promoting this mentality in the minds of the younger generation, we will be producing only cattle class, and they will not be fit for working in less than the shop floor areas. Even now, sorry to say this, most of the engineers are now working as food delivery persons. This is a pathetic state now. And we are producing thousands of commerce graduates, thousands of management graduates, thousands of engineers who finding difficulty in getting jobs. This is purely because of lack of basic knowledge in the students' minds. So unless otherwise we implant this, we are not going to succeed. As a country, as responsible individuals, as responsible teachers, as responsible researchers and scientists, we may have to tweak our understanding, moving out of only publication and patenting to meaningful interventions in science and technology. That is more important. Why I am bringing this element at the end, purely to thrust this concept. So everybody should start working on objective-oriented approach. Since because somebody has published in some PZBs or something like that, it's not the case. India has lot of potential to work as a production factory for the entire world. There's a big requirement for many, many, many areas, including your PCBs, I said. And most of the equipment now India is importing most of the things from China. If you want to stand tall and grow bigger, India has to concentrate a lot in promoting the internal strength, especially in knowledge and creativity. So, to sum up, India is a huge, highly populated country in the world, 130 crores and growing. And India has more number of younger population between 20 to 40, and it's going to be there for another 30, 40 years. Second, and government and private cannot produce jobs. That means we need to create more knowledge individuals. And for us to create knowledge individuals, the classrooms has to change, and student also has to involve themselves in interestingly learning the basics of whatever study they choose and practice. And only if that happens, we improve the creativity in the minds of the students. Only if increase the creativity and creative thinking, there is opportunity for us to come up with inventions and innovations. Only those innovations take the individuals forward, take the institutions forward, take the state forward, take the country forward. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you for listening. I'll be happy to answer questions. You can reach me anytime, and or you can reach me through the college SA Arts and Science work with you. I'll be happy to support the startup. I'll be happy to support the uh, schools, whatever it comes in our way. And interestingly, finally, I just want to touch upon one thing. The government of India has started a very new program called Atal Tinkering Lab in the schools. And this Atal Tinkering Labs creates innovative minds in the schools itself. And interestingly, they insist on recruiting students from the sixth standard, even sixth, 7 years. If not, I don't want to say we'll be like this or we'll be going back. And that should not happen. It all in the hands of the faculties. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you all. Jai Hind.